So after sitting down tonight with the luminaries of Vince and James and Lord Tremendous, I went and watched another video by Vince where he was talking about the future of Shadespire. So I figured while I'm sitting and talking video, I would extend this little reply video to Vince's topic of the week. Just as an aside for those guys, we did a square table hosted by Lord Tremendous, and we giggled about our Adepticon experience. So if you want to go watch that one afterwards, please do go to Lord Tremendous channel. But anyway, what we wanted to talk about here, and Vince's topic of the week was about Shadespire, asking predominantly three questions. One, are you excited about it? Are you eager to play it? Number two, is there a space in there in the gaming world that it can thrive and succeed? And what do you think about what GW has plans for? And then the third would be, what sort of factions or expansions would you like to see to do with Shadespire? So let's lay some groundwork. Vince talked a little bit about what Shadespire is, but for those, here's a quick synopsis. It is a warband level game with just a handful of models. You play it on a game board that is a mild bit customizable. Your warband is fixed, but you have two decks of cards that interact with it. One of them I would describe as an objective deck, so that's how you're going to score victory points, by what's in that deck and what flips up. And then the second deck is sort of a fast effects thing, where you increase your defensive or attacking capability, or you make moves out of sequence and that sort of thing. So those are buffs or debuffs to your enemy. Now, the game itself incorporates the models, the cards, and also dice for resolution. So that's what's unique about Shadespire, is it combines all of those aspects together. Now, the key that Games Workshop is driving at, and they explained this at Adepticon, is what they want to aim for, and their goal for this game is to be a very quick play, 45 minutes-ish battle rounds where you play a best of three little quick exchange. And to be the kind of thing that you can just pack up in a small box, take out to play, and there'll be leagues at your game store and activities and those things that you can rank yourself, etc., and become a long-term thing. So, having said that, am I excited about it? Probably not that much, to be truthful. After having a chance to listen to their spiel about it and actually play the game itself, I mean, the game is fine. My reaction to this is not a disparagement on the game at all. I just don't know that that's the kind of thing that I would play as a regular, kind of every week kind of a league thing, and have that fast play game. I have played, I guess, a parallel to that. I've played Magic for a number of years. I still do, but I play it more of a casual kind of thing with a group of friends, and our games, of Commander style take a couple hours to play. I'm not real interested in that quick 10-minute game, quick done, no interaction with you as an opponent. It just doesn't satisfy. Part of why I do wargaming in the first place is because it's a very social thing. I like to interact with the guy that I'm playing with, and make I'm happy to make a whole afternoon or a day of it. I know that some people that play big scale games like Warhammer or Warhammer 40,000 kind of lament the fact that it's just potentially a 3-hour game in most times, but that's the part that I like. So conversely, the Shadespire idea, not so fired up about it as far as a game aspect of it. It's going to produce some new models. It's going to produce some pretty sweet models too. The ones that they have out of the main box have already exhibited that. The ones that they displayed the other day and teasered, the Death Rattle guys, look great too. And I expect that with the pedigree that Games Workshop has and what they have produced in the past for AOS and 40K alike, is just going to continue to raise that bar and give us great models to paint for various different reasons. So for that aspect, that's a thumbs up. I'm looking forward to that part of it. Now let's move on to the second question, and this is the bigger question. Is there a place for it in the market, and what place does that have? Well, again, hearkening back to what Andy and Phil displayed and explained in their seminar at Adepticon, when somebody very pointedly asked out of the crowd, do you expect this to be like Friday Night Magic? And he said, well, yeah, ideally, that's what we want to get out of this. Now, if that's what they're driving at, I kind of like the driver of that. Even though it's not for me myself, I think for the general populace it is going to be. I think there's more people not like me that think about gaming as a quick, let's get it done, let's fire it off. If we can play 6 games per night, awesome. I think there's more people like that than are like me, to be truthful. Just a bit of a quick gratification, whether it's you know, a video game crowd that's trying to port over, or the card game crowd that they're trying to port over, you know, or those quick game board card game game board things like Dominion, which is a deck building style one, or what's the other one, Ascension, or the Marvel superheroes or DC Legion ones. All those are great. People love those. They dig them. So I think that there's enough of a crowd that'll latch onto this. I think how it develops is going to have to be a lot more involvement than Games Workshop has done in the past. Whether they're thinking of this as the same way and framing it and doing all that research to see what support that needs to have to make it happen, I don't know. They haven't displayed that in the past. We'll see if they're capable of it. But it really requires, I think, to be successful, here's what I'm imagining, is a very hands-on league creation, support for local retailers, support for local events, enticements for players to be there on a regular basis. And that's how it's going to have to build. Now, part and parcel with that, for it being a competitive gameplay thing, which they have said they want it to be, then that means rankings, tracking, you know, scoring, and when they themselves host big events that people want to potentially travel to and go to, they have to have that kind of ranking in place and development so that they can maybe even have invitationals for top players in regions. We have seen X-Wing do this in recent times. We have seen Magic do it for ages, and they would have to adapt some sort of model, at least similar to that, for it to be something that catches on, because that's going to be their competitive group. They are going to compete with people who go to Shadespire night instead of Friday Night Magic, and the ones that are going to go to Shadespire night instead of the, you know, regional qualifier for X-Wing, right? So if they want it to be successful, that's the crowd that they're going to try to attract. And I think that there's going to be some crossover from existing gamers that they'll want to capture that way, as well as new people that are going to latch on to Shadespire and maybe come on over from AOS and 40K and whatever other miniature game that they're doing. So I hope that they are prepared to do that, because I really feel that that's what it's going to take for that to be long-term successful. Now, let's go on to the fun question, the question number 3. Vince asked, what other factions would you like to see in Shadespire? Well, I think because the first few out of the gate are direct port overs from AOS imagery, I think the obvious answers would be, well, let's get all that AOS stuff available. You know, if I got a Sylvaneth group, then obviously I'd like to be able to play with my Sylvaneth group in this game too. If I have Flying Dwarfs, well, I want to have my Flying Dwarfs that I can play in Shadespire too. That would be great. It'll also be attractive for what I mentioned earlier about having more model selection for your heroes and such like that you can put into your AOS army. But for me, I think the thing that I would like to see out of it, because the game is done as a sort of a gladiatorial quick action game, what harkens to me is that they should have some kind of gladiatorial models. They even did in Mordheim years ago, they did a couple of pit fighter models, and they even extended to have a pit fighter warband. So guys with like spike maul fists, nets that they throw, tridents, and things that they used to have in supposedly Roman Colosseum combat. That's the kind of group that I would like to see in Shadespire. I think they would fit perfectly for it. They'd be wonderful. It could be tied in with if you want to tie it in with AOS, you can tie it into the whole Chaos Marauder idea, and those models, you know, in some ways would tie in with that visually, aspect wise. So I think those are what I would like to see. Nothing much more to say about it. I mean, we're talking about a game that doesn't even exist in the market yet, so speculation can run rampant for a few more months yet until they make it happen. But we may as well talk about it, right? So let's get your follow-up response. I'll have a link to Vince's original video. You can put your comments on there, or you can time in with mine right here and answer those same kind of things. Are you excited about it? Are you going to play it? What do you think it's going to take for it to have a marketplace and continue? And of course, what cool toys would you like to see expanded into it with that? So be happy to hear your responses, and I'll bid you adieu for tonight. Goodbye.